John, is there something in addition to just maturity, emotional maturity, not chronological or anything else, but just emotional maturity? Is there something in addition to that breaks someone away from a get-rich-quick? Because I remember when I got rich quick, I was chasing get-rich-quick and nothing down real estate, and I did it. I got rich quick, and then I lost everything because I was stupid. He who hastens to be rich will not go unpunished. But there's something that greed and fear are the things that drive that. But it feels like that there's this looking for a shortcut thing feels like a maturity thing. Is it something else?
I tend to think it's about belonging. The way we're bombarded with messages now, like we think about that last caller, the way we're bombarded with messages now is that everybody's doing this thing. And suddenly you're put into this, it's like the Titanic. We're all getting on the boats, man. If you don't get on the boat, you're going to drown. And I think it's just this, and then you start walking down that road, and then somebody's like, what about all this? And there's just such a machine that keeps pumping things into you about what you're not doing, what you could be doing. And
I didn't feel like everybody was doing nothing down real estate.
No, I think back in the day there was one or two. Because I think about the old.
I thought I was the exception.
That you were special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I think it's switched to where you're left out.
FOMO.
Yeah. And I remember, to answer your original, I remember back in, it was 2004, 2005 when the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, started to blow up.
Yeah.
And gyms opened up everywhere.
Yep.
And
everybody's a fighter now.
I'd been a part of a gym for a while, and they filled up real fast, and then they emptied equally as fast because people realized, oh, they punch you in the face? This is not fun.
Oh, yeah, this does hurt. Yeah.
Oh, they kick you? Yeah. And so I think there's something about, unfortunately, part of wisdom is getting hit in the mouth. And I think you've got to put some money into Bitcoin and lose every penny of it, thinking you were so smart, and that's how you realize, if someone didn't teach you out of the gate about humility and wisdom and, hey, we won this time, but not this time. I think that's a real important lesson. Either you confer that or you just got to take it. If you don't have a model for it, right?
Yeah, but I'm just the cause is what I was. The root cause from a psychological perspective. So it is FOMO. It can be, or fear of missing out, or it can be.
I think we're
pride. We're special. I'm different. I can do this.
But we're wired to the least restrictive road, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way we're wired.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. You don't want to take a pain on to take pain on. That's weird.
Yeah.
But this idea that I know 99% of the millionaires become millionaires this way, but not me. I've got this.
I've got it.
Yeah, there's something just whacked about that.
Yeah.
And I was one of them. I did that. I fell into that. It's an arrogance of sorts. And
I talked about this on
immaturity tied with arrogance.
On the documentary.
Same thing playing the lotto.
I had a history professor who we were talking about D-Day, and I looked at it. He was a strategist, a military strategist, and I was looking at D-Day, and I was like, man, why didn't they just send 30 or 40,000 of our top troops into D-Day? And my professor's response was, because they would have looked at that and gone, this is not a good situation. This is a tough wave after wave situation. And I said, well, what kept all those guys going?
They all thought they weren't going to die.
And he said, pure old-fashioned 18-year-old arrogance. They both looked at each other, and they looked at the right and the left and said, sucks to be that guy, because I'm coming home. When they sat there and told you, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 of you aren't coming home. I think there's just something about being 18, 19, 20, 21. You're invincible. You're ready to go take on the world. And
that opening scene in Private Ryan.
Oh, man.
I stood on top of that beach.
Just
looking at the gun turrets.
Can you imagine?
3,500 men died on Omaha in like 17 minutes.
Instantly, yeah.
They just obliterated them.
Yeah.
And, there's something about that. And,
we'll just keep going. We'll just keep going.
And that's what happens with these waves of get rich quick.
Yeah.
As they come through. And they come through about twice, 3 times a generation, roughly. But I hadn't seen one like this one in a while. This one's very interesting. But because it's mixed in with this existential crisis around COVID, where everybody suddenly realizes they're going to die.
Yeah.
And so we're just here for a vapor, and you mix that with a little inflation. 15%. No, it's not. 7%, son.
Yeah, right.
Which means he's been reading a gold site or he's been reading a Bitcoin site, because the actual inflation rate is not 15%. 7% is not good, but 7%. I mean, in Carter we had 12.
Right.
So I mean,
and I think it goes back to if surround yourself with wise people. because they're going to be able to tell you if their heart rate doesn't get up. Hey, inflation's 7.
If your broke beer drinking buddies are all that you have to help you analyze your wealth building process, you're screwed.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Or if the internet is the other only source you've got.
Which is even worse.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to make money off of you.
Well, and, worse than that, they're wrong.
Right.
It's just like that's the other problem is it's just inaccurate. It's bad information most of the time. I mean, not everything on the internet's bad information, but this idea that there's like, my generation ascribed, my parents' generation ascribed complete credibility to any newsman on CBS. Walter Cronkite.
Right, yeah.
If Walter Cronkite said it, that's right there with like Jesus said it.
Yep.
That's it. It's done. This generation is wisely believes nothing the media says because nothing they say is true. Nothing they say is true. It's like our local newspaper. If you read it in there, you go, I wonder what really happened. Every time I read articles about people, including myself. I go, who is that guy? I don't even know that guy. They just made that up. Where did they get that information? They just dreamed up a story and put it in there. And so, but it's just this generation, so journalism has completely lost credibility. It doesn't have that anymore. But this generation then, or not this current one, these 19-year-olds, they're smarter than that. But probably the millennials, they think everything on the internet was true. Mm. And so the big joke was, everything on the internet's true. Abe Lincoln, ascribe the quote to Abe Lincoln. And so, but we're starting to realize the source of information is not there. It's not true. And so what you've got to do is you have to get around people who have proven track records of actually doing the thing you're talking about.
That's right.
And if you want to be a really world-class parent, you should not hang out with people who have parenting theories.
Right. Or bonkers kids.
Or kids that are all, off the dadgum reservation where the asylums or the inmates are running the asylum. But if you see a family that's functional and the children they're not little Stepford children, they're not devoid of personality in the name of discipline, but on the other hand, they're not running around the restaurant swinging from the chandeliers. Right. They've got a personality, but they're
respectful.
They're also, they seem to be functional children on the way to adulthood. That'd be a couple to sit down and have dinner with and talk to about how to be a parent because they actually are doing it.
That's right.
Same thing with a marriage. I got to spend time with Mr. Truett Cathy before he and Miss Jean passed away, and I remember we were in Long Beach speaking at this speaking at a Chick-fil-A thing, and we were up in the suite with him and Bubba and Trudy and Dan, their 3 kids, and a bunch of their grandkids and stuff. And I'm talking to him because I'm enthralled. At that point, I think they'd been married 67 years.
Wow.
And so we're walking along the concourse, down through here, these 80-something-year-old people, and I look up and they're holding hands, and I'm like, this is who I want to talk to about being married.
That's right.
One time, 67 years.
Yep.
I want to talk to them about being married. Now, you'd want to ask Mr. Truett Cathy about a lot of different things. There have been a lot of things to ask him about, but I did. I asked him, and I asked her, because Sharon was with me. I said, so, Miss Cathy, how do you put up with an entrepreneurial man like this all these years? And she just, those eyes lit up, and she smiled, and she said, patience.
Did Sharon give her name in?
Sharon's dancing. Yeah, you're right.
It's about put wise people in your life.
Yeah.
Good, wise people.
Yeah.
And funny people.
This is silly. The way we're disseminating information in our culture is completely broken now. This is The Ramsey Show.